All right, people, I'm back here again working on my 1993 Chevy Lumina. The subject of today is going to be the dimmer switch, turn signal lever, and the dimmer actuator. I'm going to point out a few things here. There's your dimmer actuator right there, that little piece. And basically what that does, I'm going to put my finger on it, and basically it moves back and forth. But what I've done is I've gone underneath the dashboard and got to the convenience panel, and I've disengaged the rod up there with the dimmer switch in itself. So if you're having issues with the dimmer switch, it could be an issue with the switch itself, which is that, or the rod not connecting properly, or like I'm having, since this actuator, this car is 26 years old, so parts do wear out. I have the actuator there, and as you can see, I'll show you right here. There you go, right here. On this lever, on this turn signal lever, basically what happens is this is a wiper switch right here at the end of the lever. Right there. And you see that pivot area. That pivot area right there, and get a better look at it. Let's see. Right there. It's a little pivot area. Well, that's what pushes up against that actuator. As you can see, it tends to get worn out. But what I'm going to try to do is I'm going to try to still mate them and see if it works. Because what I was having, one of the other issues I was having was my turn signal was not working properly. So I turn it down to go left, and it would blink. And I turn it up to go right, and it wouldn't blink. But I also noticed that the switch, this is the cancel cam device, so we're going to move that and get it out the way. And the switch right here was loose. So if you push, it's daylight, so I guess I can put the flashlight down. So if you push on this switch, you can see if there's any movement, you know, it's the contacts are not going to engage. You can see the contacts there. So just keep that in mind. So this is two issues that I'm dealing with, but just to give you guys an idea, yeah, sure, you have to pull off the steering wheel with a puller, but it's not that hard. I've done it twice already. Just make sure that you observe where everything is, and make sure nothing falls out. Don't remove anything unless you understand it. And, you know, of course, make sure that make sure when you perform these maintenance issues on the vehicle, you disconnect the negative cable. I chose not to do that so that I can better troubleshoot everything when I have the levers on and everything. And also be careful with the wiring. It's brittle, you know, you don't want to fiddle around too much with it. They're pretty sturdy, but you don't want to mess around with it too much. And initially I thought it was the stock that was giving me issues, but apparently you can pull the stock off, but it's got a C-clip there. I don't know if you can see it. There's a C-clip in there, and you just remove that black wire. But it's not that. I mean, it's the only thing that's causing it not to be sturdy is when it's not engaging the actuator itself, as you can see. So, like I said, I'm going to try to put this all back together. And hopefully, and this is a never-ending process with this car because it's so old, and you can't really use power tools with this vehicle because the plastic on it will it'll just break, and you'll have all sorts of other issues. So just, you know, if you have a vehicle like this and it's this old, you want to be really careful. So yeah. So just check these simple things out first. When you're messing around with this, turn signal switch, you have to be careful, because right in there, show my flashlight, right in there, there's some grease, and there's a bearing, a little ball that controls the switching. It pivots. It allows the switch to pivot. So as you can see right there, there it is. So just be careful if you're going to disassemble that. Make sure you don't lose that little ball bearing there, because then your switch is not going to pivot. Well, it's just you know, give you guys some more information. I haven't found anything on this actuator lever anywhere. I did like 2 to 3 hours of research. Nobody talks about it. It's like a hidden secret, but there it is. And it moves back and forth. So once I mate the control arm and the wiper switch and the pivot area, then I'll go ahead and re-engage that rod. I don't know how difficult that's going to be, but that's what's keeping my dimmer switch from working. It was working before, but once they unmated, as I will call it, that pivot area on the actuator itself, it wouldn't work, of course, because you're putting force on the lever, and it's not engaging the actuator at all. So worst come to worst, I'll probably have to replace the actuator, because it looks like it's slightly worn. It still has a little edge to it. I just got to make sure that I set it up properly. Probably put a little grease on there too to see if it sticks. You know, it helps.